Saib,
What?
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hell yeah, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home, but why do I always feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone? Sorry,
I
I
think
got.
I think
What?
I think we are in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it feels like we're in the Twilight Zone at the moment. Kudos to anybody who gets that reference. Yeah, I have that song on the brain. Anyways, welcome to Maximum News, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, as always, your friendly neighborhood Simpsons kin, Max Derrat, and I feel like somebody's watching me. And joined, as always, by Sybsidian of the Triple S League. How's it going in your personal Twilight Zone?
Hopefully good. I mean, yeah, this has been one of the weirdest weeks I think in a really long time.
And it's about to get weirder.
Yeah, it's about to get a lot weirder.
Yeah.
But yeah, 13, was it 13 New York animal agents
Oh god, I keep hearing about
raided
this.
a
What the hell's
guy's
going on?
house?
What?
So 13 animal agents
Yeah.
from New York City raided a guy's house at like 3 a.m. At gunpoint, they arrested him, shoved him into a vehicle, and then searched the house for a squirrel.
Yeah, I've heard about this. So that's what's going on, huh?
Yeah, and then they proceeded to euthanize the squirrel.
What did the squirrel do?
This squirrel had a social media following of like 3 million people. It was a tamed house squirrel because he failed to be able to be rehabilitated into the wild.
Oh, okay.
At a registered animal recovery shelter.
But how do you determine whether something's capable of being rehabilitated into the wild? Like
Usually if they start to so if they don't eat within like the first like 5 to 10 hours, like if they don't find food and start eating, then they're basically they just can't be rehabilitated. You at that point it's either they become a pet or they starve to death or you kill them. That's basically the way it goes.
And I guess it's illegal to own a squirrel as a pet then, and nobody would be able to adopt it. Well, that's
yeah. Of all the laws on the books, that's one that really needs a lot of attention right now. Apparently,
yeah. Isn't it still against the law in New York to drink certain soda drinks over a certain size or to sell them? Oh, God. New York. New York.
I can't remember. I can't remember if it's New York State or if it's a different state. But there's a state somewhere where it's like you're not allowed to put pies on the windowsill on a Sunday. Yeah, that's a law.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Just
crazy weird.
I mean, one of the greatest products of Western civilization is English common law, but then every so often you'll get weird exceptions. Like, why the hell is that a thing? But anyway, video games. Let's talk about more like just. Well, you thought that like all that stuff was crazy. Wait until you hear some of the stuff that we got to talk about this week, because we got a lot of crazy stuff. Some good stuff, but a lot of crazy stuff. Saib, I would be remiss if we didn't start with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Thing is, though, I don't know anything about Dragon Age. Like, as I've humiliatingly revealed on this podcast, I've never gone through an entire BioWare game, I think, in my entire life. I know I'm 2025 New Year's resolution. I'll play Knights of the Old Republic, yada, yada, yada. Mass Effect. But yeah, Dragon Age is another one of them. And so I don't really have a dog in the whole release of the Veilguard. But I have been following some of the online discourse surrounding this game. And it seems to be wild. Yeah, it's I'll just hand it off to you, man. What the hell's been going on?
So, like everything, we have accusations of review tampering, not only from EA and BioWare, but also from Reddit, and
Reddit knows everything, obviously.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize how much I hate Reddit. Like the vast majority of people on Reddit or that use Reddit regularly, they're fine. But there's like this, like, I'd say probably like 5% maybe a little bit less,
Yeah.
of people who are usually moderators who are like power hungry psychopaths with an like some kind of like innate desire to see people suffer.
Yeah. No, and you know what? Given what I know about Reddit, that is less hyperbolic than some of you might realize. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But where are these accusations coming from? Are they based in anything, or is it just sort of like what? Go ahead.
So the one was like so anybody who was on Asmongold's Reddit, whenever they tried to post on the the Dragon Age Reddit, were immediately banned.
Oh.
And this was tested like frequently. Like this was tested on stream. They would post a very friendly like, "Hey, I'm really excited for this game. Is there like can somebody recommend like, some like a quick video to like catch up on the lore?"
Mm-hmm.
Immediately banned.
Just for posting something completely innocuous like that.
Yeah. So it was quite clear that the mods over on that particular Reddit had built in, and you can do this, had built in an auto like ban feature for anybody that was subscribed to different Reddits of different types. It wasn't just his. There was a couple other Reddits that were that if you were subscribed to them or if you posted in them a lot, you immediately got banned from this one. Didn't matter what you were posting. It wasn't up for review. It was an immediate, within like, a second of you posting that, you were banned, weren't allowed to see anything on that Reddit. So yeah, so that's one wild thing. Then we've got the craziness that is the official reviews. There was a whole bunch of people who came out, big YouTubers, big platforms, and said, yeah, we requested a review code so that we could review it and have our review ready on release, but we got the runaround and we never got our actual key. And when you look at those people who tend to score fairly not partisanly, like they're actively like doing their job to like review a product within certain codes and ethics that they have. Those people were not, but all the people who gave it an immediate top 10 like award, like, hey, this is game of the year level quality, those people all got their codes. And the codes on places like Rotten Tomatoes, not Rotten Tomatoes, the big game review site. Sorry, I'm really tired. It's
Metacritic.
Yeah, Metacritic. So they started to notice that there's been some chicanery there. You can always tell this because if you want to know when somebody's cheating in a poll or cheating in like a vote based thing, it's whenever you have sharp, immediate increases or decreases in vote tallies. Like, it's tracking along, at a wobbly, like upward or downward trajectory. And then just suddenly you have this like sky rank, like, this immediate shift up. And then it continues that regular thing. It's like, that's like 90% of the time that's cheating. Like there's no other way to explain it. And we're seeing signs of that on Metacritic. So, that's kind of interesting. There have been a bunch of people who have had their reviews deleted off of Steam, which is, again, really kind of messed up for reasons ranging from like, they're advertising a product, which they weren't, to, other innocuous reasons that developers use to commonly groom out their the reviews and to make sure that they have a very positive rating. All for a game that is arguably okay.
Yeah. Like
it's okay.
That's what I've been hearing.
As far as that's everybody that's played it, the seen it now. It's like there are elements that are pretty good about the game, and then there's some elements that are not pretty good in the game. Mostly the writing seems that most of the there's a lot of writing in the game that is just like one reviewer said it really well. He said that the writing sounded like HR was in the room looking over their shoulder as they wrote it.
Okay.
And another guy said that it was like low key, like high school drama.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it's not like it's the end of the world, or it's not like they've taken the lore and they've actually thrown it into a wood chipper. It's not anything like that. There are parts of that where people are saying, oh, they've completely disrespected this character or that character or this thing or that thing. But in the end, it's just a fairly mediocre game, which is sad because Dragon Age Origins is one of the best games ever created. And I think almost nobody who worked on that game now works at the studio currently. Mm-hmm. So this is very much kind of a new BioWare thing where there's just not much of the old soul left. You always had the ability to like make, air quotes, evil choices. And now you can't do that. It has been, they have one chart, one path. You can only ever be this like positive, like buddy, like, yay, I'm your cheerleader, I'm in your corner character. You can't be like, yeah, let's kick him off the bridge, right? Like you could never do anything like that. You most certainly can't be foul, and you most certainly cannot insult somebody's opinion. Which, again, for an RPG where you get to make choices, and in comparison, these are the same people. This is the same company that made, Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gates, and you could do some horrible things in that. Going from that to this concept of like, no, you can't hurt anybody's feelings, okay? And so that's where this idea of like somebody sitting over the shoulder, just like scowling at the game, is really bad.
I don't understand though. Like, what? I understand wanting to have HR in the room to avoid people doing like maybe something that is unconsciously insensitive, or just to look out for clear signs of insensitivity. But when you look at like a game that is so successful for not giving a crap about anything like that, say Grand Theft Auto, or even what you just mentioned, Baldur's Gate 3, the love surrounding those games and the amount of money that they've made is so immense that you would think that you would try to pull back on those people like trying to tell you what you can or can't write. But yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just because they have bad... I mean, you've talked about this in the past, Side. Just people that have these roles within these companies that think they understand the market and they're data analysts, but they're completely out of touch. Maybe that's sort of the example that we got going here.
I would say that, but there's two people at the company currently now that I think are... I won't name them by name, but I've been connected with BioWare for a really long time. I've been in the game industry for a long time, and I would say that I consider them to be predators.
Oh.
And they are currently in leadership roles at the company. Not the head leadership, but they currently have leadership at the companies, and they brag about how they bully people and how they take down people and how they crush anybody who opposes them, and they're gleeful in that. And that's why I call them predators, because predators take joy out of harming people or out of destroying things that people love, whether that's people or things. And I would say that falls into this case. And people ask me, is like, do you think BioWare can come back? I'm like, no. BioWare died.
Well, Well, I mean, they can come back, but not the BioWare we knew.
No. The BioWare that we knew died probably at the end of Mass Effect 3, I would say.
Sure.
There was a little bit of them there when they made when they made Inquisition, but for the most part, the majority of the company left. These people left the company, moved on to greener pastures. A lot of them were fired. A lot of their whole QA team was fired. You know, it was this company that this group of developers and playtesters, one of the most important parts about your game, unionized, and then were immediately destroyed. Like, you know, because how dare they, you know, how dare they unionize? And I find it so disgusting that you have people like Jason Schreier who are going, yeah, the game is definitely very mediocre, but I want it to succeed just so that it can own the chuds. And
right.
And this is the same POS who was deriding them just like a year ago for having fired their the first unionized video game team in North America.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you not have scruples? Do you not have like a running morality? Do you not have the ability to like stay concurrent?
Dude,
like
you're asking about Jason Schreier.
Yeah, I know. He's a dirtbag. Yeah, it's just really gross to see people who used to be critical against EA, because that's who this is. This isn't old school BioWare. This is EA, who's replaced everybody at BioWare several times. It's a ship of Theseus, right? Like this is like third generation on. Like
right.
There's nobody there now. But yeah, it's a nightmare to see, and it's incredibly sad. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I've watched enough of it to know that I'm not touching this game. It is one of the saddest things that the best game in the series was Origins, and looks like always be that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, I was actually just about to ask you if you have played it. But yeah, basically what you've heard is what I've heard, is that it's okay. From what I understand, though, like people who are not like longtime Dragon Age fans could come into this game and find themselves having a good time. It's just it's lost a lot of what made that the original games so beloved by the hardcore fans. So yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be entertaining for a new generation, and maybe it's just like, you know, kind of like how Final Fantasy with its more recent releases seem to be for more of a new generation than the old school fans, you know, and maybe it'll work out for them, but there's definitely going to be something lost in the process. I got to get around to playing those games one day. Anyway, guys, have any of you had the chance to play Dragon Age yet? Let us know in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you, whether you like it or hate it. We want to hear from you. Just, you know, as always, keep your comments civil. All right, moving on to the next piece of news. So we talked about this company last week, I think, Insomniac. We were talking about the cancellation of the Spider-Man 2 DLC. Well, another piece of news just came out this past week, and you know, you're inclined to say that it's not good news, but there are ways, you know, like there are ways that something like this could be seen as completely innocuous. But, you know, that said, I would still lean toward... Sorry about the cops. I would still lean towards it being a negative story. So, according to Stephen Totilo, if you want to call him that, a journalist formerly of Kotaku, he put out on one of his personal social media saying that the creative director for Wolverine, which was, God, I want to say it was announced like over 2 years ago, he has left the project. He's been attached to it since 2021, and he left back in summer of 2024. And here's the kicker. He left to become the creative director for Perfect Dark. Yeah.
I wasn't that isn't that game in its like final stages of development?
I mean,
That's what I've actually heard, and we did
really?
have the showcase, right?
Wait, which one are you talking
So
about? Wolverine or Perfect Dark? You mean?
Perfect Dark,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotcha. I I don't know. I mean, it looked like they had something interesting with what they showed us from Perfect Dark, but we still don't know when it's coming out. We don't know if that was just more of a proof of concept rather than an actual game. Um, but yeah, according to Stephen Totillo, he said that he left over creative changes, but what why did it take you 3 years to figure that out? And from what I understand, like especially with the leaks that happened with Insomniac last year, the game is pretty far along, and in fact, it seemed like they were targeting a 2025 release date. So
Hmm.
why is he leaving now? It could be like um like here's a scenario where I feel like it could be completely innocuous. He's like, okay, he's kicking so much ass on Wolverine, and it's gotten all the stuff there that really needs to be there, and now it just needs to sort of be ushered towards the end. And then Microsoft calls up Brian Horton and says, "Hey, we hear you're kicking ass over there at Insomniac. Can you help us come over here and help us steward the Perfect Dark to the very end because you've been doing such awesome work?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come over there if you pay me more than what they're paying me now." And then that's all that happened. But it's still, um, there is a matter of creative changes, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. But thankfully, the two guys that directed Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the names are Mike Daly and Marcus Smith, were brought on to direct Wolverine. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was amazing, and I feel confident that they would be able to shepherd something like that, especially if the Insomniac work culture and the team over there tends to be quite homogenous and work well together. But I don't know, like, what? I'm still that it's just the creative changes that I'm sort of struggling over. I just hope it's sort of like a. You ever the movie Ant-Man, Sybe?
Hmm.
Originally, that movie was going to be directed by the same guy who directed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. But then he left the project due to creative differences, and they brought in another guy. But the movie still ended up being pretty good. I'm hoping that this is sort of a scenario like that, you know, instead of it just being like, oh, he's so completely off of where they originally wanted to go with the title. Because, like I said before, even if it's creative changes, I hope it's something like so minor that they were able to amicably split and they're going to be able to drive it home. Because, like I said before, the stuff that was leaked during the Insomniac leak that I even saw makes the game seem like it's pretty far along in development. So, I don't know. I need to get a sip of water. Sab, what do you think of this?
So I think that I think it's probably just that there I tend to think that he was maybe headhunted. Like they're like, hey, we really need you to come in and like, marry this up, make this work at the last, possible, in the last hour, like in the 11th hour before we go.
Mm.
It's like I'm thinking that's what it basically boils down to, and that it just sort of like, maybe he was as far along as he could go. But again, it is kind of weird considering the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like this is definitely kicking off a new fiery like heart within the Wolverine story.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, within the fandom and the story, because I think you're getting both of that.
Yeah. People love
Um,
Wolverine. Yeah.
yeah. So and I think, and they've already said they're doing more Deadpool and Wolverine movies. Well, that is if Disney doesn't can the whole thing, which
Well,
would be
no. When
mentally.
did they say that? They didn't say that. They
Yeah,
hinted
they did.
they hinted they might be back for Secret Wars, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do
No,
Deadpool and
no,
Wolverine too.
no, they're definitely doing that. Like they can't. They were in an interview and they're like, yeah, we're gonna like he's officially back as Wolverine. Period.
I do not think that's true. But anyway, continue. I'll look that up while you're talking.
So yeah, I mean it's like now the only problem again is Disney, and how big is Disney going to put their foot in their mouth on this one? I don't know. So it seems like a weird time for them to have done that. For him to have done that, for him to move out of that role and into a different role. Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird. I can't think of anything else to say on it other than it's a little weird. I suspect he was probably headhunted kind of 11th hour, like get a guy in to like clean everything up and make it good kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's probably what we're looking at.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just basically what I said. Yeah, I'm looking on here, dude. I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anything about Hugh Jackman coming back to playing Wolverine. I mean, yeah, I'm seeing stuff where people are suggesting that he might be back for Secret Wars in a couple years. Wait, when is Secret Wars coming out? Is that 2026 or 2027? Anyway, I'll figure that out later. Yeah, it's concerning, but there's nothing like on the surface or that we've seen from the game that will lead us to be like to panic. And I still believe in Insomniac. I still enjoyed Spider-Man 2. I do think that they're going to give us something great with Wolverine because, yeah, I've yet to see them produce something that I do not like. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's just move on from that. Let's, here's your weekly update on Concord. Hopefully this will be the last one. Because this is coming directly from Sony Interactive Entertainment themselves side. They put out a press release saying that, yeah, Concord's dead. And, it's like, well, wait a minute. We've been hearing that they've been doing stuff behind the scenes, like, oh, Concord has been getting secret updates on Steam and all that. Are they planning like a comeback where the game goes free to play? No, it's confirmed. It's dead. So I'm reading this directly from their press release. Regarding Firewalk, and this is a quote, as announced in early September, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land with enough players, and as a result, we took the game offline. We have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all of our options. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio, and then charge everybody $200 extra for those who are buying the PS5 Pro. No, I added that last part. So that's it, Side. Hopefully we no longer have to talk about this game again, except in a historical context where we, reference it as sort of the biggest like F up in the history of AAA games, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's much of a question there. I mean, you could talk about like Fallout 76 or Cyberpunk 2077, but at least those games made a comeback. This was barely available for 2 weeks, so yeah, it's all done. Side, any any eulogies or
I told everybody.
Yeah.
One of these moments where I get to say, I told you so. There weren't a lot of people saying no, but some people were like, again, it was mostly this like press and lunatic people in media where they're like, no, it's going to make a comeback. It's like, no, it's not going to make a comeback. First of all, I really think that genre, just as a whole, is at its sloping off point. I really do. And thank God. I am so tired of that genre. There is way too many of those games made. There are way too many of them in the process of being made, and it's eating up the oxygen from other things. And again, if you go, yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that. All right, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, let's just it's done and dead with like the whole it's like that meme from The Simpsons where that Krusty the Clown episode where Homer's beating up the guy who's supposed to be the Hamburglar from McDonald's, but just it's not him, just because they're trying to avoid copyright. And like the kid is just watching Homer beat the crap out of him, and he's like, stop, he's already dead. And that's just the Concord horse right now. So yeah, let's just move on from that. So smell you later. Hopefully never, smell you never. Let's move on to the next story. Oh yeah, okay. What Nightingale? I know what game this is, because I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, accidentally muted myself. I hit the space bar and it muted my mic. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, what's been going on with Nightingale? I know what this game is. I can picture it in my head, and I remember being interested in it, but I don't remember anything about it. Let me look it up real quick while you're talking about it.
Yeah, so dozens of staff were laid off at Inflection as part of restructuring. Now, lots of people are like, "Oh no, they're just saying that." It's like, actually, no, not in this case. In this case, and in many other companies throughout the gaming industry, there are a lot of people who are being let go, who are being shown the door, who are having their roles diminished due to restructuring. What is this restructuring? Does it have anything to do with AI? In most cases, no. Does it have anything to do with the massive, colossal failures in the gaming industry recently? The answer to that would be yes.
Which was founded by Aaron.
Yes, that is what it has to do with. Again, from I told you so kind of point of view of like, watch it on this one. There are many studios who are, and I hate to say this, but they're either doubling down or they're backing up on the recent failures in big gaming, in the sense of like listening to analysts who don't know anything about the actual industry, to suggesting game genres that are officially like on the decline, to trying to shove down politics, because that is the thing that everybody wants. They want to come home after a stressful week and play more politics, or have somebody yell at them because they didn't, do something right in a video game. Yeah, that's what they want to do. They don't want to, have a relaxed. They don't want their fantasy game to actually be fantasy game. They want their fantasy game to be a continuation of the thing that people are yelling at them all day about.
Wait, that's what's been going on with the Nightingale?
That is what my little birdies have said is going on there. Okay. It's not a lot of people. Like, I mean, it's a lot of people, but it's not like it's not the whole studio. It's not half the studio. It's just like 24 people that have been laid off as part of a restructuring process to try and capture something that they think will work more. Now, what exactly that is does that mean that we're going to get more of the insanity that we've been getting from the games industry lately, or does that mean we're going to get less of the insanity that we've been getting from the games industry recently? And I don't know yet, because that is, we have to see.
Yeah.
If this game comes out and it's more interested about, hitting check marks and pressing buttons, and as the Ubisoft idiot CEO said, "I don't understand. Game journalists like it. It's getting such a high rating from the games journalists. Why aren't we making tons of money?" Because you don't sell your game to game journalists. You give your game to game journalists. I don't know why, because the vast majority of them are useless at their jobs, but you give the game to games journalists, and the average person playing games goes, pass. And that's what's been going on. So again, how this shakes out, I don't know yet, but we're starting to see more and more of this happening, and it's going to come to a head, because you can't keep squeezing the blood from stone. Like, eventually, the blood in your hand, which is the actual blood you've been squeezing from the stone, is going to run out, and you're going to pass out. And then somebody else is going to find the stone and be like, "Huh, this is a good stone. I can toss this into the river or build a campfire with it. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll do that." So yeah. That was kind of one of those crazy straw analogies.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm looking at Nightingale right now. Apparently, the game's been out in early access for the last 8 months. I had no idea that it
Mhm.
came out. It looks interesting. It looks okay. It's somewhere between okay and interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer on Steam right now. It's sort of like a mix between Skyrim's combat and magic system and open world type of loop, but with more of a steampunk married with sci-fi, kind of along the lines of like
Mhm.
Bioshock Infinite sort of thing going on there. Looks cool. Some of the reviews recently have been very positive. Overall, they're mixed, but that could be typical for an early access game. But I mean, given how much effort has been put into the game, I imagine that they're going to try and do everything that they can to not do not bring this game underwater and to keep it above water as like by not doing the things that you're mentioning side. So we'll see. Let's just that's a whole bunch of negative news. Let's just talk about some positive news now. So this is one that I like when as soon as I read it, I just knew that you were going to be absolutely ecstatic about it.
Mhm.
Let's tell people about what's been going on with Baldur's Gate 3.
So we've got a grand total in the last 2 months, 50 million downloads for mods
Hmm.
for Baldur's Gate 3. That is absolutely bonkers. It means that we're going to be seeing a great, long-lasting effect from this game. I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate probably in like 5 years with like crazy new mods and add-ons and all kinds of stuff. That is unless the world implodes tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like this is really good. I am really glad to see this because modding is one of the most important things, and I mean it's more important to actually nail the game because again in Starfield it's like, yeah, you get the modding tools out already, but not a lot of people are playing that game. So this is good. This is good. I am happy to see that this is where we're at with this, and I'm super happy that we're going to have a long life of modding for this game. Huzzah!
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Yeah, 50 million. That has extended this game's lifespan by 10 years instantly. I'm looking at the mods on Nexus Mods right now. Some of the ones that have already stood out to me are Party Limit Be Gone. Increases the party limit
Mhm.
to
I,
16
I've been
members. Yeah. Sorry,
I've been I've been using that from day one.
nice.
That's been great, and I loved having that because it's so great to like hear all of the characters like dialogue, and it's genuinely nice. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, 2.2 million downloads. Appearance edit enhanced. What else do we got here? WASD character movement. Ooh, I would like that. That I would really, really like.
Hmm.
What else do we got here? Yeah, this all looks great. Like obviously you got the
I
hair
mean, I mean,
mods. Yep.
I think you'd like the one mod that was brought up in the article, Daddy Withers
What?
body mod.
Why are you singling me out for that? Are you sure you're not just projecting?
No, no, I'm not projecting everybody loves Withers Bone Daddy.
What the? Okay, I don't even want to. I feel like if I
Yeah,
pursue
you
that
don't
joke, I'm
don't
just
ask.
going to gross
Nope.
myself out.
Yep.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
No, you
Anyway,
don't want to see that.
yeah, that's great news. Though, like, God, I need to get
Yeah.
back to this game, dude. My wife and I played like 10 to 15 hours of it, and it's freaking amazing. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's so huge. It's so it's the campaign is enormous, and
Hmm.
it's just we never had the time to sit down and play something like that. You know what? It's been long enough. I'm going to talk to my wife about maybe getting back to playing that, maybe with a couple of our friends, because but but the problem is we'll sort of be missing out on the mods if we're just playing it on PS5 because that's where we've been playing it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Well, I would recommend that everybody plays through it as fairly unmodded.
First,
Once
sure.
first, and then you get to the ending. You see the ending where it's at, and everybody's kind of happy with it. And then what I highly recommend is that when you have some big chunk of time coming up, or if you're starting a new D&D campaign, you play a modded version. And the important thing to note here is, like, when you go to do a modded version, you download all the mods, then you make the game unupdatable, and you can Google some guides for that.
Yep.
And then that will allow you to play, and like, especially if you're like, normally you do a lot of D&D, but if you're coming up to a period of time where it's like, yeah, everybody's not going to have a lot of, they can't physically meet. It's like, that is a great time to start an online campaign. You dedicate like 3 to 4 hours every week for it, and you just go as long as people are interested in. And then maybe you have a semi DM who can kind of like, who goes around and like does some, add some cheats, changes some of the stuff. It's really easy to do. So you can there's tons of cool ideas. Everybody's talking about it. So yeah.
You're probably right. It's probably best to just experience the game as close to as the developers intended it. For some games it's tougher. Like if I ever go back to Starfield, I have to download like a mod that allows you to carry whatever the hell you want. I can't do it. I was able to contend with the carry limits for like Skyrim and Fallout, but I just can't do it for Starfield. But for this game, because the game is so amazing, I will try to contend with it as best I can. And then if I ever go back to it, yeah, I'll probably get it on like a sale on PC or someday or something like that. All right. And then finally, I have a great job being able to produce YouTube videos full time. Unfortunately, sometimes the games that I have to cover for my channel prevent me from being able to check out other games or do other things related to gaming. And the most recent example of that is the fact that the Monster Hunter Wilds beta happened this past week. I am definitely playing this game when it releases in February of next year. And I'm so excited for it that I wanted to play the beta, but I completely missed out on it. But you told me that you had the chance to sit down and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that yesterday? How much time did you spend with it, and what did you think about it?
That was today. I played the opening scenario, messed around with some of the weapons, and I gotta say that I think this is going to be the biggest and the best entry into the series so far, and that it's really going to catapult it into major like mainstream. Yeah. Okay. I have one gripe, and it's a gripe I've had with a lot of games like this. A lot of games coming out of a particular country that do this is like, can you please, for the love of God, can you please let me jump?
Oh, it doesn't let you do that.
I not that I've discovered so far. And I mean, I don't know.
I feel you so hard on that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we played that earlier this year. Wonderful game. I have some problems with it, but it's a technical masterpiece at the very least. One thing that really pissed me off about it, though, is just the way you're forced to scale the world. You cannot jump. You have to scale. I don't. Why? Why is it like that? I don't get it.
It's part of fantasy is the jumping thing, and it's also like, I don't know. It's this like I think it started, you go all the way back to Super Mario or like just Mario Brothers in the original NES. And it's like, it's so satisfying to jump. And for some reason, there's been a lot of games over for a very long time where jumping is not a thing. And it does go all the way back to the old JRPG engines, where, in contrast to the engines that, like, Super Mario and Zelda had, where it's like, Zelda 2, not the other Zeldas, because you can't jump in most of those either, where it's like it just never came into like the public mindset. And for some games it makes sense and you don't really miss it that much, like Kingdom Under Fire. Don't miss it in that series at all. Don't even really think about it. But in other games, it's like, especially RPGs like this, where it's like, oh, there's a chasm, and it's like, oh, I really want to jump from one side of it to the other side of it. It's like, no, you can't do that. Your mounts can, but you can't. And and that sucks. That's my only gripe. Other than that, the game looks beautiful. It plays beautiful. It's really solid, and I think that they really do have probably one of the best games to come out. I also gotta give them a shout out. They had more options for like real options for disabled players in one category or another. They had multiple options for motion sickness. They had multiple options for color blindness. They had controller options for people who had issues with that. And again, I got to say that this is good. This is what we actually want to see during those like this disability like awards, where they're like, this game had an ability to adjust the volume. It's like, okay, somebody got into that category by either being really smart or by doing something a little under the table, if you know what I mean. Because yeah, obviously every game I've ever played has had sound, moving option. Like give me a break. That's ridiculous. But this is actually really good. Like, this is what that award is actually catered for, meant for, is like when they go out of their way to make sure that if you get color blindness, not an issue. Got tons of different options. Got a like just cool stuff. And I'm like, super awesome. That's great. That's what we want. And just overall, the game looks great. It feels great. It plays great. Like it's really good. My only one beef is the inability to jump. That just sucks. Yeah, I didn't get as much time with the armor system as I was wanting to get into, but it looked like it was piecemeal, and I love that. That's so good. That's so good to have that. I love that. Do that more, please.
What do you
Thank
mean
you.
piecemeal? Like there's barely
So
anything there?
No. Piecemeal is in like you can take whatever you want and slap it on wherever you want it.
Oh, I gotcha.
So
Okay.
you can adjust your pants to your to your top, to your arms, to your legs, to your feet,
Nice.
kind of thing. It's like,
Can you do
it's
one
like,
pauldron on one shoulder and no pauldron on the other?
I don't think it's that good, and it's kind of sad that you can do that in World of Warcraft, but you can't do that in the vast majority of new games that come out. It's like, give me the ability to just adjust my character and the outfit as much as I want to. I don't want to have the same identical outfit that everybody else has.
Mhm.
I really hate that. I genuinely hate that. I think it's one of the most dumbest decisions by these new MMOs that come out, where it's like you have basically just this one outfit that you put on. You can't mix and match at all. Why? Like, oh my god, why? So dumb. Please, 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 please don't. Please no. So yeah, looking forward to this. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a quick question. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what is your experience with the Monster Hunter franchise? Have you which of the past games have you played?
Almost all of them on and off, typically very briefly.
Gotcha.
It is something that I've never had the time to really get into, despite the fact that that it is quite good, and that I've always kind of had a high respect for the series. I think that it's impressively well done. I think that the direction has always been good. Like, this is what I want to see, like, from MMOs and stuff like that. And again, they have their Monster Hunter World, and that's very, very good. It's just a matter of like never being able to get into it, which is kind of crazy, because apparently Monster Hunter World has quite the modding scene too. So that's something that, again, that I've heard about, and I really wish that I could get into more, but I just never get the time, and it sucks.
Yeah, I know, man. But somehow I'm gonna find a way. And it'll be easier because, typically the free time that I have is spent with my wife, and she's a gamer, and we'll probably have a lot of time to sink into this, especially because we're both really enthusiastic. That's why I'm so excited. It's because I have time to play the game. Yeah, and hopefully I can customize my build because typically when my wife and I play multiplayer games or co-op games, we try to make our characters look as much like Final Fantasy characters as we can, because that's sort of like our thing. That's our franchise. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Less than 4 months now. And, the wait isn't going to be too difficult because we got a lot of really, really cool games coming out in the next 4 months. Anyway, that will do it. Those are all the news stories that we had for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us chat about video games. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this video, because when you do that, it tells the YouTube algorithm that not only this video, but all the other videos on the Triple S League channel are worth watching. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on any or all the stuff that Syb and I talked about today. And yeah, Syb, thanks as always, man. Anything else you want to say before we're done?
We are working on stuff. I'm doing a lot of work on stuff, and I need more hours in the day.
Yeah, we're just saying that.
Yeah, we're working on some new stuff, and again, it's like it's going to be a bit of a downtime, but yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's like we're wanting to do some new cool stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, speaking of which, like I was just telling Syb before we started started recording that as soon as we're done talking, I have to get back to work, even though it's like almost midnight, just because I need to put the music on my new video so that way I can release it tomorrow for the patrons and then the next day for the public. If you guys are interested in knowing what that video is on, it's on an old school From Software game, and I tried to link some concepts from the Dark Souls games onward to this game, so you want to stay tuned for that. I'll be releasing on Tuesday for the public, but you can watch it a day early if you subscribe to me on Patreon. You can find all that stuff if you just head over to my YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description box below. And even if you're not particularly interested in that, I got a whole bunch of other great videos over there as well that you will definitely want to check out. All right. That will do it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always, and as per usual, stay yellow.
Goodbye.